Game. 4th and goal. And they're going to snap it, and it's Trey Burton who throws caught. Foles, touchdown.
In front of the letters, nods yes, the wind, the 1-2 pitch. Swinging a ground ball left side. Castro's got it. Spins, throws. He got him. A perfect game for Roy Halladay. 27 up and 20.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Trending for Four Quarters on a special Sunday breaking news edition. It's 3 p.m., sitting out on my deck, enjoying a nice Sunday. Notifications start going wild. Eagles made a huge free agent signing, one of the biggest moves they made all offseason. I'm Phil Stiefel. This is JD here. We'll come to you from DSM Media with the huge breaking news that the Eagles have signed Steven Nelson to be their cornerback 2 for this upcoming season. 1 year, just over $4 million. The full details of the contract have not been released just yet. But drop into the comment section. Give us your instant reactions to this huge deal. And I'll start with you, JD. What do you think of this big move they made?
This was big. We just talked about this a couple of days ago on your show. And what's crazy is it's a momentum boost for this team. That now Matt saying it. The QB, so it's cornerback 2 has got here. We don't have to worry about they're going to play one of these unproven rookies or anything like that. We kind of know that they have Slay, and now they got Nelson. So now we know they have a proven, at least a little bit of a proven, secondary. And now they can kind of make the decision about who's strong in free safeties, and if they're going to use a special package for a spur and use my boy from Clemson. You know what I'm saying? They might not need to use him. He might work his way into it. And the rookie that they've drafted can now learn from these two guys and not have to be pushed into a situation where he's going to have to play big minutes or big time situations when he should be watching.
I think that's a huge part. Signing Nelson, whether Nelson's a great cornerback 2, a solid cornerback 2, we can debate that, but it just slots everything else. It moves Avonte Maddox to the slot / backup safety role. It gives McPherson time to develop. You don't have to run out Jaquette or Craig James, as your starting cornerback too. It just slots everything on the defense and the secondary so much better. And I was trying to do quick research. The last 3 years, he's got about 7 interceptions. So it's not like he has 10 interception seasons or anything crazy like that. But PFF. Now, some people like him, some people don't. But it was the first ranking that I could find. In the last 2 years, 2019, they had him ranked as the 11th cornerback in the NFL. And last year, the 27th cornerback in the NFL. And that's your cornerback 2. That's not your cornerback 1. And George is jumping in. Why not Nelson as your cornerback 1? I think Nelson and Slay, they're both, that same tier. Neither of them are going to be locked down, that old, Richard Sherman or Javar or Revis type, lockdown quarterback. But the two of them together, a lot better than what was going against Slay last year, opposite him.
So I wanted to throw this out there, and like you said, now Avonte can retire. And that's true. Avonte can retire. He can go to a position where he's not having to play as many minutes or having to play in big time situations where you really don't want to give up a big play, because we kind of know that's kind of been his MO to give up the big play. If he can play in spurts, not have to worry about putting as much pressure on him when he has to play like a DeAndre Hopkins or something like that, a prolific receiver. He can play like your third or fourth receiver, and he don't have to really worry about it. He's probably good enough to hold his own against those guys.
Yeah.
But
again, George is saying that, we didn't see much big play from Darius Slay last year. That was because he was the only guy they had. and he
So they
was
didn't go to him.
volunteering to take one for the team. I mean, he went against Hopkins one week, Adams the next week. The dude from Seattle. I'm real quickly on this show here. Did not prepare, but I mean, he went against 5 of the best wide receivers in football 5 straight weeks, and he took the brunt of that. No double coverage, no safety helping over the top.
Wow.
So
They didn't have it.
yeah, he refused, as George is saying, the help because he knew the rest of the defense was lacking. Steven Nelson now next to him in that cornerback room, that changes everything. You can give Slay help if necessary.
Right. And now you still got those guys. You still got a Maddox who isn't. I mean, he's not the best corner,
but he can play his role correctly.
His role now, exactly.
Yeah.
And you got the younger guys. You got McPherson, who's a young guy, and you have Kayvon Wallace, who's also a young guy. That these guys can learn. They don't have to learn on the fly. And if at the end of the season, game 13, they come into their own, now you can start to put them in more integrated roles in that defense and they can actually start to earn that in like that. What's the word? That experience.
Yeah. You look at Jonathan Gannon, their new defensive coordinator. He's all about developing linebackers in his secondary. Well, without Steven Nelson, you didn't have time to develop these young guys. Somebody was going to get put into a spot they weren't ready for. Now Steven Nelson, 1 year, just over $4 million. I mean, that's huge. I mean, it's a cheap deal for a guy and he's going to be there from day one of camp. So I mean, it gives all these young guys plenty of time to develop, and take their time, So I'm super excited. I could tell that Philly Twitter is definitely super hyped about this,
Because in the years past, they've had like really, really not good secondaries, and they've got burnt by a lot of receivers that weren't really all that great. And then the great receivers straight torched them. So, if I'm a Philly fan, I'm excited for what's coming. They've making a lot of changes there, and still up in the air is what they're going to do with this the big move. We don't know what the big move is going to be, so that's still up in the air. But as of right now, as it sits, if they go in and Rodney is looking good going into first week 1, I'm not really that much worried about the.
You read George's mind. George just said that. If Rodney's good week 1, that's secondary. You got Rodney Harris, you got Ant Harris, Rodney McLeod, and Anthony Harris. You got Slay and you got Steven Nelson. That's a pretty strong secondary. It's hard to imagine one guy makes that much of a difference on your defense.
Yeah.
But it really does, in the grand scheme of things, make a big difference because everybody gets to play their proper roles now. So Steven Nelson isn't the difference between us winning 6 games and 10 games, but he is the difference between, maybe not blowing a close game down the, in the fourth quarter, because your secondary's trash, right. So I'm ecstatic by the move. You bring up the elephant in the room with the quarterback situation and all, but George, first thing he did when he sent me a message, hey, we just signed Steven Nelson. I'm like, all right, let me check it out and all. And it's like Howie's having a hell of an offseason. You got to give Howie credit. On paper, I bash Howie more than anybody else, but he had on paper a really solid draft. On paper, outside the fact that Zach Ertz is still on the team, he's picked up all the right pieces, all these 1-year deals, Anthony Harris, the linebacker, all these guys, and now Steven Nelson. Howie's really trying his best to work this retool for the future, but also put a pretty competitive product out on the field here week 1.
You said something really interesting, and I'm a Steelers fan, so I know a lot about how much one player on defense matters. Mm-hmm. We were 11-0 going into 11-0, and our defense fell apart. And that was our staple. Like for all year, that was our staple. And Devin Bush goes down, like certain pieces, certain guys, like if they're a big enough person on your team, that one player can change the dynamic of your defense. And your defense is everything. Because if people start making runs on you and start scoring on you quick, man, your game's going to look a lot different.
As a Steelers fan, what kind of a player are we getting in Steven Nelson? What kind of a cornerback is he?
To me personally, I feel like he can guard a lot of guys. I feel like there's not a whole lot of guys that he gets switched on if they go in motion that he just gets straight murdered by. He was never that guy in Pittsburgh. He was never a guy that you saw him getting burnt constantly and none of that. And Thomas not going for that anyway. He would have been on the bench, but He played a good bit of time. I didn't think anything bad about him. I wish we still had him, but we got Fitzpatrick and all these guys now. So these younger guys have kind of, I'm not saying they moved him out of the way, but they moved him out of the way. You know, like, so.
See, my biggest concern always, and I'm not trying to bring negativity because this is a huge positive move today, and it definitely helps set us up for this upcoming season a little bit better, is when a guy, I almost think that maybe Steven Nelson has this very high opinion of himself. And I know he doesn't make the flashy plays. It's not like he's going for 2 pick six a year and 8 interceptions or anything like that. But he's obviously a very solid cornerback. But why was he still available at this point of the offseason? If he was such a good cornerback, did he price himself out of the market? Was he just hoping for something better? Or does he just value himself higher than the NFL, organizations value him? So that's going to be a concern going forward, this week as we really, right now today, it's the instant overly joy, reaction. But as it sits down and marinate a little bit more on the decision, going forward, we really got to really break down why was he still available at this point of the offseason.
I don't know if it's a pricing thing, but if you think about it, a lot of people were trying to acquire him as the cornerback one. Okay. And we clearly, and the Eagles, I don't say we because I pull for the Eagles. So the Eagles, so I feel like
you're on a Eagles network here.
Well, and it's got to be pricing, but you're pricing him out as a cornerback one, and a lot of teams don't really need a cornerback one. A lot of teams have good cornerbacks, and honestly, the Eagles aren't in a bad position going in the future. It's just right now, until these guys get coached up a little bit, they kind of need somebody to step in that role. So he's perfect for what Philly needs. He's perfect for the situation in Philly because they got Slay as the CB1. They need a CB2 that can kind of be there as a placeholder for maybe a year or two until McPherson and either Kayvon Wallace or one of these other young guys gets ready to go. And somebody just told me the other day that Kayvon Wallace is actually more of a safety, which I'm okay with. We talked about
definitely
this.
Drafted as a safety and all, and that's where he played primarily last year. I know you talked about him on my show last week about him being a cornerback maybe down the line. I actually kind of see Kayvon Wallace in that same breed as Avonte Maddox, somebody that's like a slot corner / safety, a guy in a dime package or nickel package when you're heavy with defensive backs that can kind of just float around and hybrid, position. But again, now you have the time, and you gave yourself the privilege of time. Now by bringing in Steven Nelson, everything is going to shape up in that secondary now. So it's a huge move. Howie stuck to his numbers. I know Steven Nelson, the rumors were wanting, he wanted $5-7 million. Howie got him in at just over $4 million. I mean, that's pretty much all our cap space, and we still got Landon Dickerson to sign, which I'm sure we'll move that in the coming days. But we're maxed out cap wise now. So if anything else, I saw some people tweeting that this isn't Howie's last trick up his sleeve for this season. Well, that's why Zach Ertz is still on the roster.
Exactly.
Zach Ertz is that trick up his sleeve. You got to move Zach Ertz if you're going to be able to afford any more tricks. So, we'll see how that plays out. Camp's 2 days away. So everybody reports on Tuesday. So it's kind of exciting now. This is great news, like right before camp starts.
Oh, for sure. I wanted to throw this out there. There was when I was a young lad in the old country, there was a guy who used to tell me when you're trying to get somebody to invest, you have to move the money from their pocket to your own. Mm-hmm. But in this case, I think Howie is trying to move money from their pocket from his pocket to theirs. He's got to get rid of Zach Ertz's contract. That's a huge contract to take on. And for somebody he's not looking towards the future with Zach Ertz. He's not going to be used that way. And now, we've been kind of, making kind of comments, making kind of, our own analysis about what we think is going to happen in the upcoming days in the future before the end of camp. And everything is kind of alluding to this like mysterious trade, Deshaun Watson bubble that is hanging above Philly. And I haven't heard, everything I've heard I pretty much heard the same thing. But I think that going into the training camp and all that stuff, if there's a way for him to make this move or to do something big enough to help the team by using Zach Ertz, and even if you keep Hurts, even if Hurts is still here and he does something big, I think people will give Howie a pass for a little while. They'll let him see what he can do. Because the last couple years have been rough, man. They just have been.
And as George said, I don't know if you saw this, JD, Deshaun did report to camp in Houston.
Yeah,
so he is there. He's ready to, He's ready to go because he doesn't want to give up that whatever it is, $50,000, per day fine for not showing up, whatever with that. But
they got 4 quarterbacks. Just throw that out there. They have 4 quarterbacks. I looked it up.
I thought they had 14 quarterbacks. I mean, it really felt like they were signing every single player under the sun that was available.
They got Driscoll, Tyrod Taylor, Ryan Finley, and now Deshaun Watson. Still, there's too many quarterbacks in that quarterback room for all of them to be there at the end of the season, regardless if Watson plays or not. You can't keep all those guys.
No.
So something's going to happen. I think Watson is being moved. He just has to be. He's going to be moved, and it will be great for them to be for Philly. But if you got to give away too much to keep them, then it is what follow the breadcrumbs. I love that. I love that, George.
Well, anyway, I don't want to take up too much time at everybody this Sunday. Everybody's out enjoying it. Depending on where you are, George, it might not be as nice over in England as it is here, in Philly. I got a nice sunny Sunday out here. We got the Olympics on TV. We've got, the 3M Open Finals. I'm this close to picking my 4th outright winner in fantasy golf this week. So good. Johnny Vegas, let's go Vegas. Win that title. I need that money. I need it, Vegas. Come on. How great would it be that a guy named Vegas hits me a 75-1 bet today if he holds on? So
that will be great. I want to throw this out there real quick. Outside of, the Olympics are going on. The girls, the gymnasts are doing great so far.
Yeah. Hey, I was watching the U.S. men's water polo this morning. They beat, I think it was Japan this morning. And they were not the favorite in that match, and they won that. Watched the female fencer win the first medal in decades for U.S. fencing this morning. I love the Olympics. I love watching the sports that you don't get to see. I love that national pride. I haven't even watched any of the men's basketball team and that train wreck that's going on. So I'm not worried about that. But we're excited about the Eagles. That's why we're doing this, This is an emergency show.
And to be honest with you, I haven't been saying this. I've been keeping it real low key because I've been trying to curb my enthusiasm. But I'm excited for my Steelers too, man.
Yeah.
I saw a picture of Big Ben the other day.
And then I see somebody say something. He's all slimmed down.
He's looking slim, dude.
That's right. A couple teams have reported to camp. Everybody else reports Tuesday or Wednesday. Football is back. By the time the Olympics are over, we don't have to worry about the Phillies in the trade deadline because who cares? There's so much excitement, going on right now. So I love it. I love it.
I'm with
Eagles signed Steven Nelson to be their cornerback 2, or as George says, cornerback 1. Why not? Who knows? 1 year, just over $4 million. Throughout the week here on DSM Media, I'm sure all the different shows will have different looks and takes on this signing. But we want to do just a quick jump on here, get some instant reactions from some of the fans on this big move. And I think I speak for JD, Team DSM, and pretty much the entire Eagles fan base. This is a great move. And I look forward to talking more in detail about it all week long. JD, thanks for hopping on, buddy.
All right, man. Thanks for having me, guys.
Hey, go Birds and enjoy your Sunday, everybody.
Go Birds.